What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you are doing well. So recently, Nike just launched a couple new pairs of Air Max 90s, but I noticed that they weren't calling them Air Max 90s. They were calling them Air Max 3s, which is the technical original name of that model. We know them today as Air Max 90s. I think most people, that's what we call them, but they were called Air Max 3s. So I did a little bit more digging to kind of figure out why they were referring to them as that and what the difference is. In this particular instance, Nike really wanted to reproduce this model as true as they could to when it was produced back in the day, when it was brand new. And that's down to the manufacturing processes and materials and things like that. So I think that was really cool. And I wonder how much that matters to a lot of sneakerheads. To me, I think things like that are really awesome. It's what I look for when considering spending money, especially a full price retail or even more, on a pair of sneakers. And when we talk a lot about retro sneakers and retro reproductions, a lot of times they just don't feel and fit the same way as the original sneaker. In this instance, it appears that Nike has really tried to make that a reality, give you a sneaker almost like it was transported from the past into your hand in the present, and they didn't just stop with the shoe. It extends all the way to the packaging. Today we are talking about the Nike Air Max 3 in the laser blue colorway, and these kind of have that retro reproduction theme on lock. But first, let's take a closer look before we get into the details of this bad boy right here. Alright guys, now that you've seen a closer look of these sneakers right here, I just want to say welcome to all the recent subscribers, the old school subscribers, and if you're new here, consider hitting that like and subscribe. On the road to 10,000 subscribers we travel, and I appreciate all your guys' love, support, and engagement, and I'm the CEO of responding to comments. So drop a line, let me know what you think about these bad boys right here, and I will be certain to hit you back. Now, these are the Air Max 3s. We know them as the Air Max 90s, and this is what Nike calls a true reproduction of the shoe that launched way back when. And there are some subtle differences, and I'm kind of comparing these to the Duck Camo Air Max 90s I got recently, as well as those liquid gold Air Max 90s that dropped on Air Max Day. To me, what stands out the most in terms of a true to form reproduction happens around here, and especially on the tongue. And I talked about this in the eggplant colorway video as well, but these just have this really plush, very nice chunky tongue on them, and more of that plushness is felt around here, around the heel counter as well. And it's got a much more softer, almost fleece-like material, kind of like those soft fleece throw blankets you can get at Target or whatever for really cheap. And I'm not saying this is a nice material when I make that statement, because it really isn't, but it is soft and it feels very nice, and it feels a lot more plush. That to me is the one standout part that makes this feel different from more modern Air Max 90s. Other than that, aesthetically, it is pretty true to what we know as the Air Max 90 today. And maybe the silhouette is elongated a little bit. Maybe there are some subtle things here or there. One of the touches on this particular pair that I like is how the swoosh is done in a very short hair suede, probably a nubuck, although it feels a little bit nicer than nubuck. It's not as smooth as that is. So that suede swoosh right there is fantastic. And then the colorway overall, I really like the laser blue with the black, the white, the gray. I mean, I feel like you would really like this sneaker if you are a Carolina Panthers fan. I feel like this is right up your alley, and it really does capture that Carolina Panthers look to it. It's just missing a logo, and it could be really that themed shoe. But for someone like me who's not really a Carolina Panthers fan but likes the color scheme, this is fantastic. It looks awesome. I love the black leather with the white. It's very nice contrast here, and it's all done very nicely, and I've talked about it before. The leather is on areas here where creasing. Toe box is covered in a woven material, and that's not going to crease. It's got a nice sheen to it. It feels nice. It's very soft, but that's not going to crease like a leather toe box would. So in a lot of ways, this shoe should hold up aesthetically longer than other shoes that have a more all over leather construction. Now you get the laser blue hits here along the eyelets, the little kind of badges that they put here. You get it on the midsole surrounding the air unit, a touch of it between the black leather with the Air Max logo and of course the badging on the back. And I like how that is contrasted with a little bit of gray on the Nike swoosh, the white. Everything really comes together very nicely. You get a nice laser blue sock liner as well down in the sneaker. And that brings us to another cool part. So underneath the sock liner here, you obviously have some arch support, but if you want to add more, this sneaker comes with some extra arch support pads that you can slide in underneath the sock liner. It comes with a little adhesive and everything. This is something that I'm assuming comes with the Air Max 90s, or came with the Air Max 90s back in the day, I should say. I don't understand why this still isn't a thing. Perhaps the technology has surpassed the need for something like this, but this is a nice, cool little touch, an added touch of customization to a sneaker that was really purposefully built to be a running shoe. I know we use it as a casual shoe today, but this was, the peak of technology and running back when it debuted. So having this as a little reminder that at one point this was the cutting edge is pretty cool. And it's amazing to see how these sneakers evolve over time and just how technology changes. And thankfully, unlike, your old laptop from high school, this is still very usable, even though it's old technology. But along with this nod to the past of how this sneaker used to be presented to the consumer when they bought it, it's also done in the packaging as well. So you'll notice that this box is much longer than the typical Nike box, a typical shoe box, I should say. It's a much more longer rectangular box, and that is apparently the way that the Air Max 3s used to come. And it's pretty dope. I mean, I don't mind it. It doesn't fit very well in my stack of shoe boxes, but it is nice to see because it could have been very easy for Nike just to stick with the regular old orange Nike shoe box like they have. And I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have known any better or thought different of it, but for them to include that true to style original packaging as well is a great nod and shows that attention to detail that you're looking for when you are examining a sneaker that is supposed to be a true to style representation. But other than that, guys, if you're looking at this right now, can you even see, when you see the close-up shots, I'm curious to know if through video here you can tell if this is a truer reproduction of an Air Max 90 or Air Max 3 than the current Air Max 90s that have been dropping. I think visually it's hard to tell the difference, but when you hold it in hand, the things I talked about, like the more plush tongue, you just you can feel those little bit of differences. And now I'm very curious to know, however, that if they tried to pass this off without telling you that this thing was manufactured differently to be a truer replication of what they used to sell, if you would even be able to tell. I'm not so certain. I like to give myself credit for knowing things about sneakers, but I will be the first to tell you I don't know everything, and sometimes my eye for detail isn't as sharp as some other people's. So I'm not sure if I would notice that there are some truer retro vintage reproduction elements of this shoe, to throw around a bunch of big words like I know what I'm talking about. But I just know overall the colorway is dope. The build quality is fantastic. I can still rock my true to size with these, so I have no complaints. And the best part is that these aren't being crazy sought after on the market. So even though I believe they may have sold out, you can probably still find them at a lot of retailers, and you can find them on the secondary for probably below retail. You never know. So if you're feeling this colorway, or some of the other colorways that have dropped, like the eggplant colorway, and I believe there are more on the way, this is a very dope sneaker to check out. So that does it for me, guys, on this video of the Nike Air Max 3 in the laser blue colorway. Now, this was the men's release that dropped along with a women's release that was done in the eggplant colorway, and really anybody can rock these. You just pick your size accordingly, and I think these, as well as the eggplants, can look good on just about anybody, especially if it's the colorway of your choice. And obviously, depending on what you wear, all that stuff, you can figure it out. You don't have to shy away from one or the other because it's a men's release or a women's release. If you're feeling the colors, get the sneaker and do you. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video on this pair right here. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about these guys, and I will hit you back. Consider hitting the like and subscribe. Hit me up on Instagram at SteveSawThis. Drop a comment, DM me, whatever. I'll hit you back. We'll talk sneakers. And with that being said, guys, I hope you have a good day, good evening, good night. Whenever you're watching this, you are very much loved and appreciated, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. you.